Hey, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Retroplex, and yes, this is another ranking video, and most likely the last video I will make on Sonic X Shadow Generations. We have already ranked all the levels from Sonic Generations and all the levels from Shadow Generations. So now all there is left to rank are the boss fights. And I'm combining all the bosses from Sonic and Shadow, since Sonic has 7 bosses and Shadow only has 4. This game has some really sick bosses, and they're really fun too. And since this is a ranking video, of course, this will all be based on my opinion. Some will agree and some will disagree. And feel free to drop your boss ranking in the comments below. I'm down to hear yours. Now, without further ado, let's get to the boss finishing in last place. And that is the final boss in Sonic Generations, the Time Eater. Now, where do I start off with this? The Time Eater is,
I'm just trying to walk in, beat the shit out of the Time Eater, but how the f can I do that if I'm constantly hearing everyone yelling stupid shit at me? Just shut the f up and let me figure this on my own!
I'm honestly kind of disgusted that I'm putting a final boss at the very bottom of the ranking. The Time Eater could have easily been the best boss in the game. But what went wrong that turned the Time Eater into the most dreadful piece of shit on Earth? Well, for starters, the super transformations of classic and modern Sonic are just underwhelming, and all of Sonic's friends don't really do anything helpful either. They're just yapping in your ears on some of the most bullshit tips ever.
Sonic, use your homing attack.
Be careful, Sonic.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Sonic.
Sonic, don't forget to twist the Time Eater's dick. It's not just the boss that is difficult. It's just the urge that I just have to scream into my microphone and tell all of Sonic's friends to just stop fucking talking, please. If I just hit the mute button on my TV remote, I'm sure I'll have a slightly more enjoyable experience, and even then I would still fucking hate myself for replaying this stupid boss again. And above the Time Eater, we got the Death Egg Robot boss. This boss I'm not too big a fan of either, as you got the first half of the boss, which is really nothing special. You have to aim for the robots behind while he tries to throw punches at you. Then the second half takes you to this upper platform where you have to turn on the switch to activate the bombs scattered around the area for a short amount of time. Then you have to lure the Death Egg Robot into aiming his arm at one of the explosives to stun him, and after that you use his arm as a walkway to run and jump on the robot's head. The second half of the boss seems easy, but honestly, I find it to be pretty tedious to find the right timing to activate the switch for the robot to hit it on time. And classic Sonic just feels so janky to control. I don't know what it is. It's just a very below average boss. Alright, now moving forward with this ranking, every boss I list is either pretty good, really great, and just straight up bangers. And above the Death Egg Robot, we got the first boss of the game, which is Sonic vs. Classic Metal Sonic, inspired by Sonic CD. It's a pretty generic boss. You're running on a straight road while Metal is launching attacks at you. You also charge up a ton of electricity as an attempt to strike you from underneath. He'll also destroy the platform to get you off the stage, and you have to spin jump his metal ass to defeat him. It's a pretty fun and casual boss, but nothing too mind-blowing. And next up on the list is the Egg Dragoon boss, originally from Sonic Unleashed. But this time, Sonic is not in his Hedgehog form, so the platforming is completely different for the use of Sonic's boost. If you were to ask me which Egg Dragoon boss I prefer, whether that's the Unleashed version or the Generations version, I think I might like the Generations one a little bit more. You have to chase down the Dragoon in this underground tunnel, grinding on the rails to home attack on his weak spot, while Eggman tries to fire his drill attacks, fire beams, and ice waves at you. Then transitions to this 2D section where you have to dodge Eggman's ice waves, and he'll put you in these walls for you to wall jump and throw another shot at him. And after that, it transitions to this vertical diving section, just like in the Unleashed counterpart, and of course you have to aim for Eggman's head until he's fully defeated. This game does a really great job completely changing up the Egg Dragoon boss that was originally made for the Hedgehog and Unleashed to something that is much more suitable for Sonic in his normal form. Next on the list, we got Perfect Chaos from Sonic Adventure. This boss goes to show how much Sonic has evolved throughout the early years of the Sonic titles, as the original counterpart of the boss, Sonic fights Perfect Chaos in his super form. But in Generations, since he doesn't have access to the emeralds, he has no other option but to fight in his original form, and it's pretty fucking sick. As for the gameplay itself, when I first played this boss for the first time, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like this boss too much due to the platforming and the obstacles to avoid. But once I got the hang of it, it's actually pretty fun. As you can tell from the boss, it takes place in this destructed station square, and you have to boost through the flooded platforms to get to Perfect Chaos. And I really like the cinematic where Sonic is running up to Perfect Chaos weak spot, and Chaos lets out this screeching sound once he gets hit. Then it takes you to this 2D section, and after that it's basically just a rinse and repeat of aiming your shot at the boss. And that's when phase 2 happens, where Perfect Chaos uses its power to rise up pieces of the ground, and you have to run across the platforms and avoid falling to your death, and finish off Perfect Chaos once and for all. Oh, and the boss music is a remix of Open Your Heart, which sounds amazing. And next on the list we got the rival battle against Silver the Hedgehog that takes place in Crisis City from good old Sonic 06. What? Did you think that a loading screen will pop up on the screen when I mentioned Sonic 06? Yeah, I don't think so. Not after what happened last time when I was talking shit. I think this boss is really awesome at taking advantage of Sonic's quick-step technique when Silver uses his psychokinetic powers to throw cars and pieces of rubble at you and attacks you with his blade powers. And as Silver is lifting all the pieces of debris, you can use them to approach Silver and home attack on him. Oh, and if you boost into the cars into the auto-scrolling area, it can help you fill up your boost gauge, which you should definitely use your boost wisely when you end up in the 2D section. Silver uses his power to form all the debris into this platform, and Sonic has to run on them to aim at another shot at Silver. And for the big finish, the POV changes to Sonic's front view as Silver summons his Meteor Smash, where he gathers all the debris into, as the title implies, into a meteor and tries to crush Sonic to death, while Silver tries to crush Sonic with more floating objects until you finish Silver off with one last homing attack. And after you do so, you can see Silver getting crushed by his own meteor, which is honestly kind of funny to watch. That part almost kind of reminds me in Sonic 06 when Shadow did a
Chaos Control!
This is kind of off topic, but I just wanted to yap about Silver for a bit. With the release of Sonic X Shadow Generations, I feel like they should have done more with Silver too. I understand that this game was made to trademark off the Year of Shadow, which is fantastic. But imagine if Silver gets the same treatment as Shadow with a potential Year of Silver, and maybe an add-on to the Sonic X Shadow Generations storyline with Silver Generations, which can explain where Silver has been while the Time Eater sent everyone to the white space, because he was nowhere to be found at Sonic's birthday party. I don't know, that's just what I think. Now, back to the subject of this video. Silver the Hedgehog, one of my favorite rival battles of the game. But it's not as good as the rival battle against Shadow the Hedgehog, which is next on the list. That's right, my all-time favorite Sonic Generations boss is the Shadow boss. What can I say? Sometimes it's the most simplistic bosses that make them the best ones. The rival boss is, of course, inspired by Sonic Adventure 2, the game where Shadow makes his debut. It takes place in the Space Colony arc, and it's Sonic and Shadow 1v1ing each other over the Yellow Chaos Emerald. And the gameplay style is slightly different compared to all the other levels and bosses, more noticeably the boost gauge. Basically, Sonic and Shadow go off each other for the energy cores, which will power up their boost gauges. And if you succeed to collect 2 cores, Sonic will power up his boost by launching meteor rocks at Shadow to slow him down. But you want to make sure not to miss a lot of meteors, otherwise Shadow will just outrun you and the battle will just continue until Sonic collects those energy cores again. And if you succeed to slow Shadow down, you throw back shots at him by taking off his rings until he loses all his stamina. But now with the release of Shadow Generations, this boss battle has a whole different meaning when they redid the boss cutscene in Shadow's perspective. And it's revealed that Shadow had his Doom powers this whole time, and Shadow actually let Sonic win to take the Chaos Emerald, only for it to be revealed that Shadow gave Sonic a fake emerald and kept the real one to himself until he defeats Black Doom. The Sonic vs Shadow event taking place in Sonic Generations that making its move to Shadow Generations has to be one of my favorite parts of this game. It's just awesome. And speaking of Shadow, we have gotten through all of these Sonic Generation bosses, so now it's time to rank every boss from Shadow Generations. That's right, I ranked all the Sonic bosses below the Shadow bosses, whether you like it or not. I just think they cooked hard as f*** with the Shadow bosses. And starting off, we got the first Shadow Generations boss, which is BioWizard. Unlike the original boss in Sonic Adventure 2 that just makes me want to smash my controller on my desk due to how difficult it is to dodge all the annoying circular orb things, whatever the f*** you want to call them, there's a reason why I prefer the Shadow Gens BioWizard over the SA2 BioWizard. The new BioWizard boss starts off just like the original, where he circles you around and whips you with his tail, and you have to grind rail to get to his head and throw attacks on him. But this is when things completely change when in phase 2, BioWizard grows out these wired arms surrounded by these pink bubbles, and you have to attack the arms and home attack on the bubbles to get to BioWizard's center. And then comes phase 3, where BioWizard recharges himself and spews his bubbles directly at you, and you have to use the Chaos Spheres to counter counteract them so you don't deal damage. And finally, Biolizard creates one giant energy ball to throw at Shadow, and it's your job to use Chaos Control to stop the ball and throw rapid punches and kicks until it ruptures. I know I've already said this before, but I'll say it again. The cinematography in Shadow Gens is just incredible, especially when Shadow Chaos controls Biolizard's balls. And next up on the list, we got the man who is part lizard, the one who gets friend zoned so frequently, which makes him knock so many chairs over because he gets so tilted at the towers. The one who has insomnia because he stays up all night playing Fortnite. It's the one, the only, Memphis, Tennessee. Alright. But jokes aside, we got Mephiles at the top 3 of the list, making his return from Sonic 06, and he's got a pretty badass entrance too. When Shadow finds the Scepter of Darkness and the ground turns into lean, and a bunch of the Shadow enemies spawn in, and Mephiles tries to backstab Shadow like what he did to Sonic back in 06, and Shadow dodges the attack, and it's really freaking cool. He does this as a way to get back at Shadow and wants to be restored to the timeline. The gameplay of the boss is pretty fucking sick, which relies a lot on the Doom Morph ability, as you have Mephiles chasing you with his long blade, and once Mephiles fails, you have the chance to Doom Morph his ass. Then he'll summon his Shadow minions, and you have to Doom Spear all of them. Then there's phase 2, where Mephiles clones himself, and he throws the tilted towers to the ground that causes shockwaves, and you have to use Doom Morph to climb up the towers and reach to all the clones. And after all the clones are taken down, Mephiles transforms and shoots lasers and throws fists at you while you Doom Morph to his weak spot. And for the big finish, Mephiles clones himself once more and circles around Shadow, preparing to finish him. But it's a good thing we got Chaos Control by our side to freeze time to take out each clone at a time until we get the real Mephiles. And after that, he is once again sealed away in the Scepter to never be seen again. Or is it? Not gonna lie, I kinda hope they bring back Mephiles for a future Sonic game. Or maybe for the next mainline title. Who knows? Only time will tell when that'll happen. I don't know. In the runner-up of this ranking, we got Metal Overlord from Sonic Heroes. How ironic that this is the second time Metal Sonic has appeared on the list. He appeared as Classic Metal Sonic in Sonic Gens, and now he's back as Modern Sonic in his Overlord form. I love this boss so fucking much. Metal Overlord's design looks fantastic, and the gameplay completely relies on the Doom Surf ability. Metal will launch missiles at you while you're in the water that's being fenced by the lasers, and you use Doom Smurf... And you use Doom Surf to counteract the missiles along with the debris to hit Metal. There's also jump panels that you can trick off of to reach Metal's upper body to hit his weak spot repeatedly. And Metal will try to hit you with his tail, and if you find the right timing, you can jump over to avoid him. Then in phase 2, it transitions to 2D, and Metal Overlord plays a good old round of ping pong with the crystal attacks with you, and you want to make sure to keep up with him, and if you do, Metal will deal damage from the crystal you launch at him. Then he'll form this whirlpool, and you have to counteract more missiles and debris at Metal, and out of the ordinary, Metal pulls out a gunship out of his ass and launches it at Shadow. That's when you'll have to use the Doom Spears to destroy it, and the debris from the gunship will fall down, and you have to use Chaos Control to home attack on the pieces to hit Metal. And to finish it off, Shadow throws a kick at Metal Overlord. I absolutely love the Metal Overlord boss. I would say it's my all-time favorite, but there is one boss that's gonna take the crown as the best boss battle from Sonic X Shadow Generations. And that boss is none other than... You heard it, folks. The boss taking the crown is Devil Doom. It's a fight to the death between a father and his son, and they cooked hard with Devil Doom's design. They did an excellent job to make Doom look like the most disgusting looking creature imaginable. Don't tell me that he doesn't look like a demonic nutsack. The platforming of the stage is also insane. It has you go through all of the Doom powers. The boss starts off with you using Doom Surf ability. Just like the Metal Overlord boss, you use Doom Surf to dodge Devil Doom's lasers and counteract his laser balls to deal damage to him. Then Shadow throws multiple punches at Doom, and he will throw you to a section where you have to use the Doom Morph ability to reach back to him. And I'm not gonna lie, it is quite tricky to pull off. And once you reach Doom to throw your attacks on him, he'll throw you back again to a much bigger Doom Morph area. And once you reach him again, Devil Doom evolves to Neo Devil Doom and refills his health gauge, and you got All Hail Shadow playing in the background. And in my opinion, I think All Hail Shadow is the perfect final boss theme for Shadow. And that is the time that Shadow uses Doom Wings, and he can now fly around freely. almost as if Shadow was in a super form. And of course, his ring count is set to 100, and it will gradually decrease if you don't collect more rings. You continuously use the Doom Wings to dodge more obstacles that Neo Devil Doom will throw you at. And once you're about to finish him off, Neo Devil Doom does a Chaos Control on Shadow, since this takes place in the Doom Zone and Shadow doesn't have access to Chaos Control in here. But Shadow deflects his Chaos Control and finally finishes off Neo Devil Doom by throwing a bunch of Doom Spears at him and punches through him, causing Neo Devil Doom to fucking explode. That has to be one of the most badass Shadow moments of all time. How the f did the final boss of Sonic Gens end up being the worst boss of all time, while the Shadow Gens final boss ended up being on number 1 of the ranking? How ironic. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is my ranking on every boss in Sonic X Shadow Generations. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to hit the like button, comment below your boss ranking if you have one, and if you want more content like this, feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when I upload. I appreciate it a ton. And that's all I got for today. Till next time, bye-bye.